Ben Roethlisberger returned against the Ravens Sunday after being sidelined for one game with a knee injury. Ben struggled a bit. Many thought he came back too soon. So the Steelers have dealt with suspensions and injury this season, and the black and yellow are currently 4-4, tied for first in the AFC North with Baltimore. Ben, what do you have to say to concerned Steelers fans?
I could do the Aaron Rodgers relax, but I'm just going to say it's halftime. We're at halftime, and we've had a lot of great second halves in my career and in Pittsburgh Steelers history. So whether it's a half of a game or a half of a season, so it's not over yet, and I look forward. I'm excited for the second half of the season.
It's halftime, baby. Damian Woody in the house. How we doing?
I'm good. What's up, everyone?
I thought you
guys might have kicked me out of here from beating your head in too much, man. I thought you took away my invite for a minute.
And by the way, first of all, nice haircut. You're looking pretty dapper.
Oh, yeah, I know I'm
noticed the red tie
right now.
I noticed the red tie. You trying to make a statement this morning? I'm just questioning. I'm just asking.
The only statement I'm making is about what I'm about to do to you guys, man. That's the only statement I'm about to make.
Oh, please.
Yeah.
Let's do it.
I'm trying to tell you, man, I'm not scared of you on TV, only in person.
Yeah, that's why you remote right now. You're not right here in front of me.
Exactly.
That does happen a lot. I'll be back. I'll be back.
Exactly. Let's talk about Ben's statement. Are you confident that he can help these Steelers get back on track?
I'm worried. I'm worried about the Pittsburgh Steelers right now. Look, anyone who's watched the Steelers, one thing that's very apparent with their offense, they are one-dimensional. And if you're opposing team playing against the Pittsburgh Steelers, or just any team, that's what you want to have. You want a team to be one-dimensional, so then you start honing in on what they're doing. Listen, with the great Le'Veon Bell, the Steelers are in the bottom 5 in rushing yards per game and rushing attempts per game. And I'm going the last four games. That's not good. When you have a running back as good as Le'Veon Bell, the offensive line that the Pittsburgh Steelers have, you need to feature him more in the running game. Second, where's Antonio Brown? Listen, Antonio Brown is great. He's one of the best receivers in the game. But when you look at his stats from this year as opposed to last year, he's down about 30 yards per game. That's a huge clip as far as Antonio Brown. So are people doubling him, taking him away? Maybe so. Look, Big Ben has been in and out of the lineup, so there might be some type of, things going on with the passing game. So then you have to say, okay, I need all the other guys to step up. Sammy Coates, where are you? He's been targeted 21 times in the last 4 games, only got 7 catches. Dude, you're on the back of a milk carton right now. I mean, your boy Antonio Brown facing double teams. The offense needs you. They're one-dimensional. You're facing one-on-one coverage, and all you have is 7 catches in 4 games? That's pitiful. That is absolutely pitiful. So, listen, I'm not going to sit here and say that, things are going to get turned around, because as we know in the National Football League, you are what you are. And right now, the Pittsburgh Steelers are a one-dimensional team that really doesn't do what they're doing, which is passing the ball. They don't do it that well.
All right, how confident are we in Big Ben and the Steelers? First of all, I want to address 2 things. One, I think they fell a little bit in love, maybe Tom did, with Le'Veon Bell's versatility. You can move him around, do all these different things with him, and maybe not just hand him the ball sometimes and let him run, especially behind that O-line, as you mentioned. And Antonio Brown this year is where Odell Beckham Jr. was last year. It's hard when there are no other real receiving targets that are doing anything. And the other team knows you put a safety, a bracket, you put extra guys. I mean, it's hard to perform, which is what I've been saying about Odell and his comparison to Antonio Brown. Now that's happening to him. Look at the numbers. Now, here are the reasons to get nervous about the Steelers. Their defense is tied for worst in terms of sacks, tied for 4th worst in terms of takeaways, in terms of picks, which is always bad. I mean, that a lot of times determines games because other things tend to cancel out. They're 24th overall in yards. So what is that? 8th worst in yards per game, which is called total defense for some reason, right? But okay, in yards per game. They just lost to their arch rival Ravens. Roethlisberger had the knee surgery, then the bye week, and then looked terrible. Like, there are lots of reasons to be concerned, but pump the brakes on the concern just a little bit. Their schedule is not killer. It's not like they have any games on the schedule. Like, there's no Patriots, there's no Seahawks, there's no even like Raiders or Falcons or anyone like that on their schedule. there it is. I mean, you have like it's a regular NFL schedule. You have 2 games against the Browns, right? You chalk those up as wins. The Colts, no great shakes. The Giants are, this year a typical NFL team, as are the Bills, the Bengals too. There are no world beaters there. And right now, as bad as everything is, they're 4-4. Yeah, they're so tied for the best record in the division. And half those games come at home, including the game this weekend. And Roethlisberger's really good at home. QBR is 84. So I'm not saying the Steelers are going to win the Super Bowl. I never thought they were going to get out of the AFC. But Steelers fans, calm down. You're going to be all right.
Well, listen, you point out the schedule, and you listed all these teams that they're quote unquote supposed to be. Didn't they lose to the Miami Dolphins? And we don't consider the Miami Dolphins to be, a juggernaut or anything like that. So this whole thing about the schedule of cupcakes, there are no cupcakes in the National Football League. There are really no cupcakes in the National Football League. What do you have to say?
Excuse me. Yeah, you damn right I got something to say. Y'all fall back. Don't be rude. I'm sitting on the screen and y'all got me waiting. That's very rude.
Man,
very rude.
Make your point, man.
I'm getting to my point.
Stephen,
you
that's all
don't
the
rush
time we
me,
have
Woody.
this
You're a
Sunday.
guest. You watch your mouth, Woody. You watch your mouth, okay? Let me tell you something right now. Here's my problem with your synopsis, Woody. How is it that you bring up all of these things and don't bring up Big Ben Roethlisberger primarily in this respect? He's played 7 games this year. He has completed 55% of his passes or less in 4 of those games. 51% against Cincinnati, 54% against Philadelphia in that blowout loss, which a lot of them was garbage time because they were getting annihilated. 55% against Miami, another loss. 51% last week, 23 of 45 against Baltimore. I understand they should be giving the ball to Le'Veon Bell more. They should have better than a 25th ranked rushing attack. We all know what the problem is with their secondary. That's the one problem I got with Mike T, who I love dearly. I'm tired of the secondary being suspect or worse year after year after year. What have I said on many times, Woody, Max? I'm very, very big on what your identity is. Mike T was on the defensive side of the ball as a coordinator before he became a head coach. So I expect your defense to be up to snuff. And we all know that ain't the case with the Pittsburgh Steelers, which is a huge, huge problem. So when I look at it from that perspective, that's something that has to be fixed between him and Keith Butler, the defensive coordinator, and I understand that. But speaking offensively, Ben Roethlisberger has not been on target. Ben Roethlisberger has been off for a vast majority of the season. Ben Roethlisberger, a future Hall of Famer, a great player, somebody I love. I'm telling you right now, I ain't satisfied with his performance. And I understand last week was rust, so I'll give him that. But what about the other 3 games before he got hurt? The guy wasn't playing up to snuff consistently. He's been a roller coaster ride, very erratic all year long. So when we look at the rest of the Steelers, whether it's Antonio Brown, whether it's Darius Hayward-Bay, whether it's Sammy Coates or anybody else, we must go back to Big Ben Roethlisberger because he may very well be playing a role with the level of ineptitude that we have seen from the Pittsburgh Steelers compared to what we are accustomed to seeing from them. This is Big Ben Roethlisberger's team, period. And he is, we know what he can do. I believe what he will do. But based on what he has done thus far, he has not measured up to snuff. And I believe that's why you're seeing the lack of production from the receivers, because Big Ben Roethlisberger ain't been doing what he's capable of doing.
Well, listen, Stephen A., let me tell you how the game of football is played, how it's done. If your defense isn't up to snuff, you can't run the ball. You are just a one-dimensional puppy. These defensive coordinators aren't stupid. They're going to key in on the things that you like to do and take them away. As great as Big Ben Roethlisberger is, he can only do so much. And I'm not absolving him from how he's playing this year because it's obviously not up to the standard that he's been playing for years. But it doesn't matter if you're Big Ben, if you're Tom Brady, it doesn't matter. If you have elements of your team or players on your team that's not contributing, that's not playing up to the level that they're supposed to, how do you expect one person to carry the whole team? It doesn't work that way in pro football.
I'm not challenging that notion, and I certainly will defer to your football knowledge ahead of mine. I'm not questioning that. What I'm saying to you is this: let's get back to your initial premise. You're saying if your defense isn't up to snuff, then you are a one-dimensional team, meaning that you have to throw the football because the defense isn't stopping anybody. So when you get the ball on offense, you have to throw the ball. Is that what you're saying?
No, actually, I didn't mention anything about defense when I first started talking. I was just exclusively on the offensive side of the ball.
You did say, you may have been a slip of the tongue, you said defense. You said defense.
Yeah, you did say defense.
No defense,
you did say
and you
defense.
can't run the ball.
Okay, well, maybe that.
Yeah, that's
okay,
what you said.
Even still, that still plays into my point. If you don't have, if you can't stop, if you can't get off the field on defense and you don't run the football, how are you? How are you
wait a minute.
How are you supposed to win games?
Now I'm challenging you.
How are you supposed to win games, Stephen A?
Hold on. Now I'm getting ready to tell you.
Okay, go
now
ahead,
I'm challenging you. If you can run the football effectively yourself.
Right.
That's how you spell for the defense.
Because if
you're
that's
on the
what
field
I said.
and you're moving the chains. All right, but the Steelers ain't doing that. Ain't doing that.
So have you been listening to what I've been saying? That's what I said right out the gate. I said the Steelers over the last 4 games are in the bottom 5 of the league in rushing the ball and rushing attempts. They're not even trying to rush the ball. They are one-dimensional. They're just spread them out like this is Oklahoma or something and throwing the ball over the field.
Hold on. I got that. But my problem with what you're saying, Damian, is this. Even if they're throwing the football too much, and I can agree with you that they need to run the ball more, particularly when you got Le'Veon Bell and D'Angelo Williams down there, my flip side to this, Damian, is this. Damn, it's Big Ben. You got Antonio Brown, you got Coach, you got Haywood Bay. You got Le'Veon Bell coming out of the backfield catching passes. Big Ben Roethlisberger's numbers should look better than what they've looked. He's not doing something.
About that, Damian, and both of you guys.
Yeah.
To me, it looks like Roethlisberger after the knee is different. It looks like against Baltimore, it looked like he's not the same guy. Like he's too hurt to be out there playing, and he's going out there coming off the bye and everything. He had a couple of weeks, but how much is the injury right now, or the surgery affecting his play?
Well, it's called Father Time. Father Time is undefeated. He holds the championship belt. You know those WWE belts.
One draw against Bernard Hopkins.
He holds the belt. Father Time holds the belt. So over time,
he's 34.
You know, Big Ben has taken all of these beatings, taken all these hits. This is what you start to see.
What I mean is a knee surgery, in your experience, if a guy has what Roethlisberger, you get a little procedure in the middle of the season, is that something where over the course of the season it'll get better and better, or is the pounding you take going to make it worse and worse? Because if it'll get better and better, the Steelers are fine, but if that's the new Ben Roethlisberger, they're in trouble.
Max, let me tell you something. As a former player. The best day you feel is the day you report to training camp.
And then worse and worse every week.
And it's worse and worse. So he's not going to get better. He's only going to get worse. This is all about pain tolerance and just managing, and the coach is doing that.
I will say this. Y'all are talking about how big Ben Roethlisberger is going to look moving forward because of the knee injury he suffered. The point I'm making is before the knee suffered, he was inconsistent, which is why I'm concerned. If it was just the knee, then I would say, okay, he's got the experience. Last week was a rough patch, but that's probably why he came back a little early, get that rust out the way so he could be ready to go from here on out. We'll see. But I've seen inconsistency from him since the Monday night win over Washington. That's my issue with Big Ben Roethlisberger right now. That's why I believe there's a reason for concern, because what I've been seeing from him this year hasn't been the model of consistency. And don't tell me Antonio Brown and Sammy Coates and these boys aren't getting open. They've been open. Ben Roethlisberger has been missing them. Not
at home. At home, he's much better than on the road this year for whatever reasons. His QBR is sky high at home, and they got a home game coming up. So,
Well, they've already had 4 road games, so I don't want to hear that.
They're going to wind up with 8
games.
Bottom line,
one of them against the Browns.
Bottom line, you can't run the ball. I don't care who you have at quarterback, and your defense doesn't play ball. It's very hard to do anything at the quarterback position.
Hold on.
You know enough about football, Damian, where I know I'm going old school here, but Dan Marino didn't have a running game. Dan Fouts didn't have a running game. There's been plenty of people in the past. Big Ben Roethlisberger at times didn't have an elite running game, but he still looked big time. You don't have to have a running game to be a quarterback if you have the requisite receivers to be big time.
I have another question.
You don't have to have a running game to show big time.
Who are you guys really worried about in the AFC North? I'm not saying the Steelers definitely got this locked up, but they got the same record as the Ravens, though in the head-to-head now they have a loss. The Ravens, the Bengals, certainly not the Browns. Like, there's no killer team in the division right now that they really have to sweat. So they can kind of chug along, treading water, and if they get hot late, they got the division. Who are you really worried about in the AFC North?
Let me give you my definition of greatness. Greatness is when you ain't worried about anybody but yourself. Because if you handle your business, everything will fall in place. When you're not great, then you look elsewhere.
But the question is not if they're great.
But that's not the. In football, it doesn't work that way. Yeah, you can be great, but if other guys aren't being great, then it's not going to make you look great. That's how the game of football is.
All right.
I was
Speaking
talking
of great,
collectively as a team to address Mac's point.
No.
Listen up.
I got it.
I didn't think that we're going to be
I got
great
it.
this year.
Damien, you're not going anywhere. And speaking of great, the Cowboys have been exceptional.
Why he ain't going
and
nowhere?
they come to town
Why he
because he needs to get into this next topic as well. When they host the Cowboys, now Tony Romo also trying to come back, and the whole team has been praising Romo. How should Dak feel about this? Tony's healthy. We'll get into all of it when First Take returns with Damien Woody. Good day. First Take salutes America's heroes, and we are celebrating the 241st birthday of the Marine Corps. Captain Stefan Milan is here to tell us about the birthday tradition.
How you doing, Molly?
Fantastic. Great to have you guys here.
Thank you so much. Today, the Marine Corps is celebrating its 241st birthday. Marines will be celebrating across the globe, all the way from Afghanistan to Connecticut. And just like any other birthday, we celebrate with a birthday cake. And the cake symbolizes a lot of things, but what we're going to do now is it's going to symbolize passing the tradition down from the oldest Marine in the room, who's Sergeant Major Rowe, down to the youngest Marine in the room, who's Sergeant Sanchez. So what we're going to do is we're going to cut a piece of cake here and pass that along. Here you go, Sergeant Major.
Looks good. Now the question is, when does the civilian girl get a piece of cake?
When she's invited to the ball.
Okay. Thank you so much for joining us today and taking us through that tradition. And thank you to all the servicemen and women protecting this country every single day. We appreciate you. And happy 241st birthday to the Marine Corps.
Hoorah!
First Take is brought to you by
Big time.
Who are you guys really worried about in the AFC North? I'm not saying the Steelers definitely got this locked up, but they got the same record as the Ravens, though in the head-to-head now they have a loss. The Ravens, the Bengals, certainly not the Browns. Like, there's no killer team in the division right now that they really have to sweat. So they can kind of chug along, treading water, and if they get hot late, they got the division. Who are you really worried about in the AFC North?
Let me give you my definition of greatness. Greatness is when you ain't worried about anybody but yourself. Because if you handle your business, everything will fall in place. When you're not great, then you look elsewhere.
But the question is not if they're
we can
great.
do better than
Yeah,
But that's not the. In football, it doesn't work that way. Yeah, you can be great, but if other guys aren't being great, then it's not going to make you look great. That's how the game of football is.
All right.
I was
Speaking
talking
of great,
collectively as a team to address Mac's point.
No.
Listen up.
I got it.
I didn't think that we're going to be
I got
great
it.
this year.
Damien, you're not going anywhere. And speaking of great, the Cowboys have been exceptional.
Why he ain't going
and
nowhere?
they come to town
Why he
because he
staying?
needs to get into this next topic as well. When they host the Cowboys, now Tony Romo also trying to come back, and the whole team has been praising Romo. How should Dak feel about this? Tony's healthy. We'll get into all of it when First Take returns with Damien Woody. Good day. First Take salutes America's heroes, and we are celebrating the 241st birthday of the Marine Corps. Captain Stefan Milan is here to tell us about the birthday tradition.
How you doing, Molly?
Fantastic. Great to have you guys here.
Thank you so much. Today, the Marine Corps is celebrating its 241st birthday. Marines will be celebrating across the globe, all the way from Afghanistan to Connecticut. And just like any other birthday, we celebrate with a birthday cake. And the cake symbolizes a lot of things, but what we're going to do now is it's going to symbolize passing the tradition down from the oldest Marine in the room, who's Sergeant Major Rowe, down to the youngest Marine in the room, who's Sergeant Sanchez. So what we're going to do is we're going to cut a piece of cake here and pass that along. Here you go, Sergeant Major.
Looks good. Now the question is, when does the civilian girl get a piece of cake?
when she's invited to the ball.
Okay. Thank you so much for joining us today and taking us through that tradition. And thank you to all the servicemen and women protecting this country every single day. We appreciate you. And happy 241st birthday to the Marine Corps.
Hoorah!
First Take is brought to you